It's the Fantastic Four podcast with our very special guest, Jon Lastrina! Yay! It's time for new directors. It's time to pitch a cast on this week's episode of the Fantastic Four podcast. It's time to make the movie. We're gonna have a blast. It's a fantastic time on the Fantastic Four podcast. This week we've got a great guest. It's not his first time on. At this point he is family. Say hi to Dan and John. And now let's get things started. Why don't we get things started? It's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, and fantastical. This is the Fantastic Four podcast. Welcome back, fantastic friends and fans, to the 10th episode of the Fantastic Four podcast. We did it. We hit double digits. My name is Dan Bettenhausen, and I'm your host as we venture into the what-ifs of Marvel's first family who will soon be appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As we wait to hear who will be behind the camera for the Fantastic Four's introduction into the MCU, we still can explore what it would be like if a different director was behind the camera, and who might they cast. If you're new to the podcast and want to hear a brief history of the Fantastic Four, you can check out our first episode, where guest Pat Polfamonte provides a breakdown of each of the characters. With that said, let's dive right in and meet this episode's guest and see what they have in store for us. I am very excited to have returning to the podcast my friend Jon Lastrina, who previously joined us during the Justin Lin episode. Jon, welcome back to the podcast. To those of you who have not listened to Jon's episode, which you totally should have, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Jon.
When you were saying 10 episodes, I was silently cheering. No one saw that, but I was very silently cheering.
Well,
no one can see but you. Yeah. You're welcome, listeners. You're welcome. You're welcome. I support that fantastic statement.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, if for those of you who did not listen to my previous episode, I like movies that are very fast and furious.
I've heard.
I also very much enjoy playing video games, watching different kind of movies. Reading history books for fun and other mystery stories, crime fiction, that kind of thing, some sci-fi stuff. I like Star Wars as well. Just, I really like just chilling, chillaxing, as they say, just trying to be cool, be chill, yeah. and just not have people hate me. Just try to put positive energy out there so everyone can like me. As
Bill and Ted said, you want to be excellent to one another.
Yeah, exactly. Again, another fantastic statement.
Thank you. Well, if you're ready.
I was going to say, I am also too very excited for this episode. That for a moment when it was being brainstormed, I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but it is.
I'm easy to convince. But with that said, let's dive into what we're doing this week. This week, Jon and I are doing something a tad different. We are going with a director who is no longer with us, and really, we're opening it up to not just the films he is responsible for directly directing, but really a universe that he has created and is responsible for. This director does have 4 films to his filmography, his directing filmography specifically. He has writing credits, he has acting credits, and while he doesn't have any Oscar nominations, he is credited with creating a universe that most of us all have some connection with, whether it's the Muppets, Sesame Street, The Dark Crystal, Fraggle Rock, Labyrinth, so on. So we're talking about Jim Henson, and he is someone who has not only portrayed, but just created all these characters that has filled many of our childhoods with happiness, education, a place to find comfort. And I'm very thankful for him for a lot of my childhood. Jon, what do you think of when you hear the name Jim Henson?
I instantly I just see the Muppets, all the Muppet characters in my head. But I think one of my favorite Funko Pop figures I have is the Jim Henson one, and he's got Kermit with him. But of course, there's so many Muppet characters, besides Kermit, Fozzie, Ralph the dog, Miss Piggy, Sam the Eagle, Rizzle the Rat, Gonzo. So many great characters, from the Muppets, but Sesame Street.
Well, and Sesame Street characters are considered Muppets, too. Yeah. Well, they're not part of the Muppet show or vernacular.
They're Muppets, but not.
They are considered Muppets.
Street, yeah. Even though I think Kermit was on Sesame Street?
Yes, Kermit was on Sesame Street.
And others, I think. I just the mixing of the comedy, the music, in just the real world, where just humans interacting with them, and they're just like, oh, it's just normal kind of thing.
Right.
It's just great. Very, very fun and emotional too at
Oh,
times.
100%. Yeah, it definitely knew how to take the silliness of these puppets being in the real, quote unquote, real world and still adding a ton of heart to it.
And then you throw in stuff like Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal, which is completely different, very, very different, but works.
So there's this Twitter page called Muppet History, and they shared something earlier today that was very fitting. It was talking about the original Muppet movie, and it was essentially Jim Henson describing how the world of the Muppets works. And this, I'm quoting this document. Although a bear driving a car and a frog trying to order a drink in a bar are not ordinary sights in our world, they are in this film. None of the human beings in the Muppet movie are ever the least bit surprised to find themselves talking to frogs and dogs and pigs and chickens. That's the Muppet movie.
100%. It's amazing.
For as bizarre of a world this is, it's just taking anthropomorphized puppets and giving them their own humanity.
Yeah, and it's because that also reminds me of one of my favorites, which is a teaser we'll get into. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. We'll see. But even when you look at like the Great Muppet Caper, just Fozzie and Kermit are supposed to be twins, but they're reporters. But they're one's very clearly a bear and one's a frog. But the joke is, I mean, they have to like be when they're wearing a hat, take off the hat. When Fozzie takes off the hat, whatever, you can tell that the twins like, oh yeah, I can see it kind of thing. But it's just, again, they're having real life jobs in the real world kind of thing, which is, again, seems, if you don't have any idea of the Muppets or these worlds, it's very strange, but it just works.
Do you have any favorite Muppets?
I've always really liked Fozzie a lot.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, he
Waka Waka.
Yeah, his attempts at stand-up comedy.
Great humor. I don't know what your attempts. They are gold.
Amazing. They are very much amazing. And I like Gonzo and Rizzo as a team. They're tandem together. They work very well together. Still, how Gonzo's just this daredevil, and Rizzo's just a lot of times he's just his sidekick from the movies. But you can tell that they're very good friends and they work really well together. I also really like Sam the Eagle, and I really like the Fraggles too. I think the Fraggles are great. I love that world, Fraggle Rock, all of them together. It's again very different, but when you put them together with other Muppet characters, which has been done in the Christmas special, television special, which was great from the 80s. I love that. It's a very tradition on Christmas Eve that I watch that movie or that television special and then Muppet Christmas Carol before I go to bed. But all the interactions where they bring the Sesame Street characters, which are great, like Bert and Ernie and Oscar the Grouch. I can see a lot of myself in Oscar the Grouch, just, yeah, kind of thing.
For me, some that stand out, I mean, Kermit is iconic. I'd say he is the Muppet. Among a lot of iconic characters, I think when you think Muppet, Kermit is the first thing that comes to mind for me. That banjo playing frog just knows how to hit my heartstrings, and he is the Muppet, I think, for a reason. Another one is Cookie Monster. I mean, I am one that likes me a cookie from time to time.
Oh, really interesting. So I'm learning something new today.
And yeah, Cookie Monster was always someone I had an affinity for because, who doesn't like a cookie? Plenty of other characters certainly could talk about, but from the two different shows that I consume the most, Kermit and Cookie Monster are ones that come to mind.
I will also say a special shout out to Rolf the dog, the OG.
Oh, yes.
Which after Jim Henson passed away, I thought was very, very fun tribute where he went silent for a long time, but also kind of made me sad. Like, he's now just like this side character. But then they brought him back in the 2011 film really, really well.
He has arguably my favorite Muppet song comes from the original Muppet movie, where he's consoling Kermit. It's called "I Hope That Something Better Comes Along," and it's essentially a duet between Rolf and Kermit, and so that's always something that I have a fondness for. So yeah, I'm glad you brought up Rolf the dog.
Very good, very good.
Well, getting into the movies now, I do want to get into our segment, 4 Fantastic Films, where we talk about 4 different movies. Again, we're not necessarily going to talk about ones that Jim Henson directly directed, but had an influence over based on his characters. So, John, what are 4 of your favorite Jim Henson inspired or directed films. And if you have any of the same, I'll jump in just in conversation here. I'm not going to necessarily go through each of our lists individually. I just want to have a, conversation about some awesome movies.
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but one of my favorites for a long time was The Great Muppet Caper. It's about a jewel thief going to London, they're investigating it. It's got great human cast. Diana Rigg, Charles Grodin, who is absolutely fantastic in this movie as the villain, the crook, the thief. But also again a great cameo from John Cleese as upper class rich man who's kind of a little kind of an idiot kind of thing. But I just love the idea of Kermit and Fozzie being reporters and Gonzo being their photographer. All the crazy antics and how they they go stay in the city. Of course, not a very high class hotel, very run down. But one of the payment options is just leave in the middle of the night without paying, and that's what they choose. And it's because it was offered to them. But I mean, everyone's all together. Everyone invites themselves on the date with Kermit and Miss Piggy, because Kermit thinks Miss Piggy is a very famous fashion designer, but she's not. She's just like kind of an assistant applying for a job kind of thing. But I have always just loved that movie. I have a very fond place in my heart for that film.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a fun film. I like it a lot as well. It's not on one of my four. I'd say the four that I'd say are my favorites, but certainly hits all of those Muppet notes and kind of twists a genre in only a way the Muppets can.
Yeah, and that was the first one that Jim Henson did actually direct, because he didn't direct the original as well.
What's your next one?
I'm going to jump ahead to the first one that came out after he died in tribute to him, Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
I believe directed by Brian Henson, I believe, directed that one. But I love that. I watch it every year on Christmas Eve. Just tradition I just kind of started with mostly with my sisters kind of thing. We were all big Muppet fans. So it's one that I always really enjoy watching. It's got a great human performance from Michael Caine, because he's not really doing anything Muppety to interact with all of them, which I think is great. Also, great use of Statler and Waldorf as well. Yes. I love just Gonzo being Charles Dickens, and I'm storyteller. I'm a nerd. I'm omniscient. And then Rizzo as a sidekick, just really they're just kind of breaking the fourth wall and everything. And it has probably some collection of my favorite songs. Particularly Kermit when he sings One More Sleep Till Christmas. It's a very beautiful song, very, very fun. And then some really great just puppets. The Ghost of Christmas Past is really cool, glass looking, floaty kind of puppet, which is really cool. And you go from that one to like the Ghost of Christmas Present, who's almost like a Hagrid type character,
big bombastic,
big. He's
gorgeous,
very, very fun. Oh my God, he's so full of life and happiness and fun. And then you go to the Ghost of Christmas Future, who is like a Grim Reaper figure, and it's very creepy and kind of scary if you're a little kid watching it.
The Christmas Carol's not
it's not really a fun story.
No. I mean, it has a happy ending, but man, how you get there is a rough ride. And I think you hit the nail on the head. This movie wouldn't work if Michael Caine didn't sell it 100% and believe he was in the world he was in. If he even made you think he was in on the joke, I don't think the movie works. And he is committed to the bit.
Yeah, and this is also one very, very fun that my friends and I in college, when we watch it, like, almost maybe out of season type sometimes, whatever, or how people getting ready. But we would always like just whatever time we watch, pick like a Muppet performer to figure or voice to find out like how many characters they voice, that's credited or uncredited. Like, so like Frank Oz, like, oh, there's Frank Oz right there. Oh, there's another Frank Oz. There's another Frank Oz. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's always very, very fun.
No, I'm with you. This one certainly is on my list. It is one of, if not the best version of A Christmas Carol. To me, it's certainly in competition. And yeah, great choice. What's your third movie?
I think I gotta go. This was very hard to try to limit to talk about.
Yeah,
because I like a lot of these movies. Like even like I'm not really gonna talk about Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, which is kind of
right.
But I think I'm gonna go. I have to select Treasure Island.
Okay.
Kermit the Frog as Smollett is great. Again, very Gonzo and Rizzo heavy, which is I like them together, so I'm probably
Yeah.
why I like this movie a lot. Maybe also a great Fozzie the Bear performance where he has Mr. Thimble, the who lives in his thumb that he talks to, that gives orders, which is amazing. And also, again, you got Billy Connolly as a pirate. Hello, Tim Curry. Again, another
No.
great
Oh, yeah.
great performance, an amazing pirate. And then again, the songs in this are great. I mean, there's some sad song, Something Better, which is very beautiful. That again in college we used to sing a lot. So much so before finals break, or yeah, I think it was winter break during finals. A floor mate, Rudine, was sleeping, and my roommate and I we were singing very very loudly and very very cheery. That woke her up, and she was like, "I'm not even mad." But yeah, professional pirate also a great song. But yeah, this one is very fun. I mean, they're pirates. They're having fun. And again, Rizzo is great in this, like just trying to make money off it, doing like rat tourism kind of thing. It's a really fun movie. Again, tip my cap to Tim Curry in this one.
No, another good choice. Not on my list, so I'm glad we have a few more we can talk about. Just one I didn't grow up watching a ton. Again, it's Muppets taking a pirate movie and making its own, and what's not to love about that? What's the last movie on your list?
I think I'm going to go with the 2011 film, The Muppets. This one, the more I watch it, the more I love it
Oh,
because
yeah.
this is after time where like the Muppets had kind of been a little quiet in terms of feature films and doing a lot of cool big stuff. And this one that was like, hey, we got this great creative team. You got a lot of guys like James Bobin who very much involved in Flight of the Concords, and you bring in Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Concords to do music, which is amazing. And again, also written by Jason Segel and Nicholas Stoller. They nailed it. I like the human characters in these films that are very much believable, and I think Jason Segel and Amy Adams really are believable. And even again the villain Chris Cooper, again another
Yeah.
major actor, Chris Cooper, who is great, and it's just a movie that is very much needed to really get them up back together, which is what they do. And then you introduce a character named Walter, a new character who is very much us. Again, if we grew up watching the Muppets,
Right.
who loves the Muppets, who happens to be a Muppet, but he looks like a human Muppet kind of.
Right.
He's not a frog or a bear or
Yeah.
whatever. So I just really love just his journey through it, just finding and discovering himself again through different wonderful songs like Life's a Happy Song and then Manor Muppet, which won the Oscar for Best Original Song. And
Right.
so I
Right.
just love this movie. It's very fun.
Yeah, I think this movie really brought the Muppets back on the map. I think they had kind of gone away for a little bit out of the cultural zeitgeist, and 2011 really had to hit, and it brought them back into notoriety. Like you said, lots of great songs. They bring back some classics like Muppet Show theme. You've got Picture in My Head. You have Man or Muppet, Rainbow Connection, all these other classics that get to come back and also be reintroduced or introduced to a new generation. And this movie really just nailed it. I loved it too. It's certainly on my list, and I'm thrilled you picked it because it was certainly deserving of being talked about. And I think it's just a great story about finding yourself, realizing that it's a critique on kind of franchising. There's talk about what we put our identity in, and it's, oh, is he a man or is he a Muppet? And just that whole conversation I think is really important to impress upon young kids and adults as well about learning who you really are and all the unique things that makes someone who they are.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And again, shout out to also to Jack Black for being a good sport, I guess, when he was kidnapped, kind of thing, going with it, but also to just being very dedicated to Animal and making sure he didn't drum because drum was a trigger for Animal, and
I mean,
of course, obviously, Animal drums.
just look at this cast. I mean, you mentioned Jason Segel, Amy Adams, Chris Cooper, Rashida Jones, Jack Black, Zach Galifianakis, Jim Parsons, Ken Jeong, Alan Arkin, Eddie Pepitone, Kristen Schaal, Donald Glover, Sarah Silverman, Emily Blunt, James Carville, Whoopi Goldberg, Selena Gomez, Dave Grohl, Neil Patrick Harris, Judd Hirsch, John Krasinski, Mickey Rooney, and I'm sure I'm missing other people from that as well, including like the Muppet performers as well. It like just the cast is insane. And it just goes to show how magnetizing these characters are that all these actors wanted to be a part of this movie.
Yeah, and then Rico Rodriguez from Modern Family.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah,
this was when he was young, and Selena Gomez, they're together, and like they're younger at this time, so they didn't like maybe necessarily grow up with him. But it's like Rico, because he was a young kid, I believe, when this movie came
right.
out, and he's like asked Kermit like, "Hey, are you on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?" And Kermit's like, "Yes, I am." And also, too, again, just a quick going back to age kind of thing, like when
Yeah.
they're going to try to find guest hosts kind of thing, and Kermit's going through his old Rolodex, and he's like, "Hey, is our president Falls White House? Hey, is President Ford there? Oh, he moved out." Or no, Carter. I think it was Carter. Oh yeah, he moved out. Oh, okay, kind of thing. He's going through, calling old, contacts, and coming up empty because it's been a while since they've done it.
Yeah. Oh man, so good, so good. I think that is your list, right?
That was 4 fantastic films, I think.
For fantastic film. Well,
Yeah, I
there
think
is
it was 4
one more I
fantastic
do
films.
want to talk about. I do want to talk about the original, The Muppet Movie, 1979. Just, it's really what launched the Muppets. It's the first thing in this first iteration where these puppets were brought into the real world as if they just were part of the real world. And again, we mentioned it's this great buddy road trip comedy with iconic songs, Rainbow Connection, moving right along. As mentioned before, I hope that something better comes along. And as we mentioned, the cast from the Muppets from 2011, this one had just as an impressive of cast for its time. Cameos from Steve Martin, Dom DeLuise, James Coburn, Madeline Kahn, Telly Savalas, Carol Kane, Milton Berle, Elliot Gould, Bob Hope, Richard Pryor, Mel Brooks, Cloris Leachman, Orson Welles. And again, I'm sure I'm missing people. On top of your classics, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, and other puppeteers and voice actors. Just insane the amount of talent that gravitated to this movie as well. And it really is what launched the Muppets, the love story between Kermit and Piggy, and how that has transcended over the years. So I didn't want to ignore the first real Jim Henson film that, while he didn't direct it, it was James Frawley. It was still the first Muppet movie of these characters that he is responsible for.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Kermit and obviously Fozzie coming together, being together, really becoming best friends, and yeah, going on that road trip, that journey, and thinking moving right along, which is a classic. I mean, obviously this movie maybe is best known for Rainbow Connection, but moving right along is right there in terms of just a more fun song, because it's not
Oh
as
yeah,
depressing as sometimes Rainbow Connection can be. But I mean, yeah, this movie came out in 1979, and it still holds up in terms of just being a fun watch. Like, wow, I mean, think about 1979. That was a long time ago.
It holds up.
But
it still
yeah,
holds up.
If you haven't seen the original Muppet movie, yeah, I mean, it's a blast.
Do it. Well, those, I think we had a nice discussion of those fantastic films, but now I think it's time to get into our cast for a Jim Henson directed Fantastic Four film. So how it works, John's going to go through his list, the 4 Fantastic Fours into Doctor Doom. I'm going to go through my list. Once we get that, then we'll pitch our movies. So, John, who is your Jim Henson Fantastic Four cast?
All right. And again, I just want to preface this saying that this went through many versions, many drafts.
Wonderful.
And because I really wanted to come up with a very fantastic lineup.
John is always good for the sound effect. That's why I appreciate you, John.
Hey, you're welcome. Also, I just love how this is a little behind the scenes for you listeners. Normally, the idea is we don't talk about. Maybe you might say, "Hey, this is what my cast can be," so there's no overlap kind of thing. But normally, not really anything else.
Yeah, we don't want to know. I don't want to know the pitches. I want to know the cast, so I don't create as much overlap with the cast as possible. But I try and not learn the pitch. John and I couldn't not talk about our pitches.
I think every single day or night, it was like, how's your pitch coming? How's your pitch going? I'm thinking about this. I might change this kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't mind. I don't know, but we just could not resist just talking about this like every day.
Too much fun.
But we still don't know really anything about.
No, I have no idea what his actual pitch is really going to be.
But anyway,
who's your Reed Richards?
Okay, my Reed Richards is Gobo Fraggle from Fraggle Rock, the leader of the Fraggles.
You're going with a Fraggle.
He is very bold. He's the leader of the Fraggles. Reed Richards, I think, is considered. Pat will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is leader thought to be the leader of the
Yeah,
Fantastic
yes, yeah.
Four.
I don't think that's incorrect to say that he's the leader of the Fantastic Four.
But Gobo Fraggle has always been one of just my favorite characters. He's an explorer. I know probably the most popular Fraggle character is probably his uncle, Uncle Traveling Matt, because he's again a fantastic character as well. But Gobo is just he's just very fun. And again, I really just love his just his like purple hair and just his colors and his personality. So he's my Reed Richards.
Any parallels? And I'm throwing you a curveball here between what we get from Fraggle Rock that you'd like to see maybe bleed into your Fantastic Four movie?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to say anything just yet because there might be something
I don't
involved.
want you to spoil your pitch either.
But in terms of the aesthetic of Fraggle, I just love just the exploration, the caves and the colors, and just going into the little cities with the
another great theme song too.
Yeah, it's a bop. Also, one of my favorite Christmas gifts was the DVD collection that one year my sister got me.
Nice,
because we were big Fraggle fans in this household.
That is another thing. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. Jim Henson properties have wonderful theme songs, whether it's The Muppet Show, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, top-notch theme songs for their shows.
Definitely. Again, music was a big part of
integral.
Yeah. And you need them. So it's very important, and it really gets you excited into it, and they stick with you. Like,
right.
Again, it's a bop. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
Hey, can you tell me
fantastic.
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
Well, okay, all right. So now it's 2022. Okay, all right. So I will help you. Okay, you have Google Maps on your phone, or
I do. I do.
Okay,
Google Maps is my go-to.
Okay, okay. Now the kids these days, they just type in where they want to go, and it just comes up and it'll tell you exactly where to go. It's amazing. So
on this magic rectangle that I have.
Yeah. It's called a cell phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning something new.
Hey, come on! It's almost like halfway through 2022. Come on, Dan. Come on.
COVID, last couple of years.
Oh yeah. So realistic. Yeah, if you minus give or take 2, probably gonna end up being like 5 years. So yeah, it's understandable. Yeah.
I still print off maps from MapQuest.
Whoa. Now that's something I have not done in a long time. Wow.
Anyways, before we get too far off track
into the MapQuest tangent. Although they do travel by map in the Muppets movie from 2011. It's very, very handy.
Did they do one of those things where like the map is up there and you see them like driving on the map? I don't recall. I always liked when movies did that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then there's a callback joke because 80s robot is their driver. It's like, and then we're just gonna travel by map, and then and when Mary and Gary, Jason Segel, and Amy Adams characters come back, like, how did you get back here so fast? Because they left. It's like, oh, we just traveled by map. Like, oh, yeah, that was good thinking, kind of thing. It was a great callback, great joke. Yeah, because it reminds you of like Indiana Jones, right. Little pit stop where have the change planes, get fuel that.
I like how we're pointing, like our listeners can see what we're doing, but I kind of like to hope that with our sound effects, they knew what we were doing.
Oh, come on, they knew. I know if I know number one listener Zach, he's doing that.
Well, okay, back on track. Who's your Sue Storm?
All right. This one, I had a lot of thoughts for this one, but I decided to go with Kira, the female Gelfling from the Dark Crystal.
Okay, yeah, okay, we're going away from Muppets here for these first two choices, or not that they aren't considered Muppets, but your traditional The Muppets characters. Interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was important. I really wanted to celebrate Jim Henson's everything he tried to put his fingerprints on or got involved in, because this is a film he was heavily involved in. So I really just wanted to kind of bring that, and she is one of the main characters. Going on with her other fellow Gelfling, Jen, to heal the crystal to end like this war battle, end of world kind of thing. Admittedly, this is one of the films that I'm not as well versed in, but just for the time being in the 80s of just what they did with this film to visually, the Yoda like characters walking around. But I felt it was important to involve her because it is a very, very, very cool puppet again. So I really thought she would fit in well into my pitch, what my pitch
Awesome.
ultimately be.
Great. I love the choice. What about Johnny Storm?
Okay, this one, multiple changes. But this one that I settled on, I think it works really well. My Johnny Storm Human Torch is Ernie.
Interesting. I don't think I heard you say this one. This was a change from the last one you told me. I love it.
It's possible. It's possible.
I love
Again,
it.
I mean, Ernie's a great character. He's very fun.
Oh yeah.
Jim
Henson, again,
yeah.
just for Ernie of Bert and Ernie, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So again, no traditional Muppet. We're Sesame Street now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to incorporate the rubber ducky at all, or do I have to wait and see?
You might have to wait and see.
Great. You're building anticipation, and I love it. What about Ernie though makes him your Johnny Storm?
Again, in my head, the Human Torch, the Johnny Storm, is sort of the wild one, the bad boy. And as weird as it sounds,
my eyebrows raised a little bit here, John.
Ernie is a bad boy. He's a wild one. Again, his sense of humor, the way he...
I guess relative to Bert, he is the wild man.
Yes, 100%. And that is why. Again, I'm just going to get into it because, again, I like to think of Human Torch and the Thing as in tandem, as pairs to interact with each other. So, jumping ahead, my Ben Grimm, the Thing, is, in fact, Bert.
Oh, okay. Great.
So that's...
Great. I see it. I'm okay.
It works. In my mind,
pictures coming together. Okay, great.
I mean, I get Bert and Ernie. To me, I've always loved interactions.
So Bert is the Thing.
Yeah, he is the Thing. I mean, he's tall. You know, I imagine very strong.
You know, he doesn't look like it as a puppet, but I bet you Bert works out.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
it's the gym a few times a week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just got to make sure he stays in shape.
No clobber. Yeah. Great. Now, what about your Dr. Doom?
All right, this is where things got a little interesting.
Just now? Okay,
maybe about a half hour ago or so, whenever we started, or maybe 2 weeks ago, or anyway. So my Dr. Doom is a trio of Polly Lobster, Mad Monty, and Clues Morgan, part of the pirate gang from Muppet Treasure Island.
I don't know where, so I'm just gonna do it. Are you in a position to explain it all, or do we just have to wait for the pitch here?
I mean, you could wait for my pitch fully, but I tried to think of the most evil, bad Muppets that I could think of, and then I was like, oh, maybe it's Polly Lobster. And I was like, wait a minute, but then there's Mad Monty, and there's Clues Morgan. Eureka! It's a trio.
Wonderful. I cannot wait to see how these, well, what does that make it? 7 characters now
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7. Yeah.
I can math. Good. Phew.
I almost said 8, and I was like, wait a minute, let me count again.
Well, no, that is a wonderful, unique, perplexing, in a good way, cast list, and I can't wait to see how your pitch comes together.
Someone might say fantastic.
Someone might say fantastic.
Maybe one person out there listening.
Well, we know
that's fantastic.
We know it's not Pat. He's boycotting.
No, he's already turned it off. He's very upset. He's yelling and swearing. And
oh man. Well, now for my cast list. I will say, in general, I went a little more traditional. I did stick with a lot of the Muppets here. For my Reed Richards, my Mr. Fantastic, I mentioned him earlier. He is the Muppet, so I figured I couldn't not cast him as my lead, and that is Kermit the Frog. one, he is the leader of the Muppets. He is essentially the leader of this whole universe. When you think Muppets, you think Kermit. He's also kind of lanky. He can pull off the stretchy arms. You see him flail about and do that. That is very reminiscent of Mr. Fantastic's powers. So I think it works. And I just want some fantastic themed banjo music too. So really, while I do not necessarily equate Kermit's personality with what I normally would with Reed Richards, with my pitch, I think it makes sense based on past Muppet films more so. So I'm leaning more heavily into the Muppet genre than I am the superhero genre here with my pitch, and that is why Kermit is my lead, my Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Kermit the Frog as Mr. Fantastic. I mean, he is a fantastic Muppet. Yeah, again, he is kind of the leader. He's the one I look to for guidance, for support. Right. He brings them all together. Yeah, I can't say anything negative about Kermit being your lead.
So I'm going to skip my Invisible Woman for right now, and I think you'll see why in a sec. It plays into my pitch. I will still say who it is before I get into the pitch, but I'm going to say who my Human Torch is, and that is another classic Muppet, one who may be a little more difficult to understand, but I'm going with Beaker. And I see Beaker strictly being comic relief in this film. Johnny Storm is not going to play a major part. He will have a part in this movie, but I just see hijinks with Bunsen and Beaker as the Human Torch really playing into a strong comedic aspect of this movie. And I also have a musical number specifically designated for Beaker that I think you will all like and you will hear in my pitch.
It's definitely an interesting pick, but yeah, I'm okay with it. We'll see if it works.
I was very tempted just based on the meme alone to go with Elmo, like the Elmo like in the fire meme, like lauding over the fire in the background. I was very tempted to go with Elmo just for that purpose, but I think Beaker will be funnier.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it being Okay. I'm intrigued.
I am also going to skip briefly my Ben Graham The Thing and go to my Dr. Doom. And I am going to Sesame Street. You will find this character on Sesame Street. Playing Victor Von Doom will be Count Von Count. The Count will be my Dr. Doom. I wanted to go with a character who has some Romani background, and really the only one I could think of was the Count. He lives in a castle. He probably lauds over his own Count Sylvania, which could be like Dr. Doom does. So really, I couldn't think of someone better than the Count to play Dr. Doom.
I really like that choice, that casting. I think that is inspired casting. I really enjoyed that one.
Thank you. That's
a good one. That was a good one. That was a fantastic.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
So, in this movie, my Invisible Woman and The Thing are going to have a very interlocked storyline. So I cast Kermit as Mr. Fantastic. So it would go to reason that Miss Piggy would be my Sue Storm, right?
Oh, obviously. I mean, I don't know why you skipped it. I'm a little confused.
She is not going to be playing Sue Storm.
Shut the front door.
Thank you for playing this up.
You're welcome.
I've actually cast this actress who was in 2011's The Muppets. She actually played Miss Piggy's secretary in 2011 The Muppets. She's also a very popular fan cast for Sue Storm. I am casting Emily Blunt as Sue Storm. Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah, pump the brakes here, Dan.
Whoa.
Outside of the box thinking.
What is this guy doing?
I know, right? Casting someone that everyone wants to be this character, right?
You're crazy.
I know. But just because I didn't cast Miss Piggy as Sue Storm doesn't mean I didn't cast her. She will be cast as the Thing. She's tough. She will karate chop the shit out of you. She will clobber anyone who gets in her way. So she really is perfect for this character, this version of the Thing. So I don't see a problem. Do you see she seems perfect to be this character?
There's numerous video footage of her beating up other people.
It's clobbering time.
Yeah, so Yeah, I don't see any problems. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think it's ingenious casting top to
Yeah.
bottom. I'm also excited, and I'm assuming you do too. I have a few other characters who are going to be sprinkled in as modern Marvel characters, but they're just not the main five characters
Yeah.
that we typically discussed in the segment. So I'm excited to reveal them in my pitch. With that said, John, before getting into your pitch, I do have a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Is your movie an origin film?
Maybe, kinda, in some aspects.
That's a valid answer, maybe. We'll see. I guess. Is it part of the MCU?
Yeah. It'll be clear that it is yes. In the end, yes.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. So, let's not wait any longer. I want to see how this cast of yours fits into a Fantastic Four movie directed by Jim Henson.
I'm not sorry for any of this. In Kermit the Frog's office, there sat a pebble. This is a very special pebble. This is a pebble that every year since Christmas 1987 has been passed on. The Fraggles refer to this ritual as Sidon. Uber had originally given this pebble to Kermit's nephew Robin as a show of worship. It is a practice that continues to this day. Now, this is where we will input the Pass It On song that goes a little something like this. La 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 la, la 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 la. Passing it on, passing it on. We shall be friends forever when we pass it on. And if you want to listen to more of it, you can buy the soundtrack. On this day, for no other reason than they just felt like doing it, Statler and Waldorf decided to allow Polly Lobster, Mad Monty, and Clueless Morgan into Kermit's office when he was out at dinner with Miss Piggy. The trio began calling themselves Dr. Doom, or the Dooms. Well, 2/3 of them at least. One of them can be a little clueless. Now, again, for reasons that I will explain now, they have been very upset after being portrayed as villainous and traitorous pirates. So they were able to exit the office with the pebble. They stole it. But Scooter, who was working late, always working late, he's very dedicated to his job, catches a glimpse of them. Now, he's unable to chase them down because, Scooter, he's not really into sports kind of thing. So, he's more of a, like a editor, producer kind of thing. So give him a break. But, so he's like, I got to figure out what's going on. So he backtracks to the office. And unfortunately, again, the Dr. Doom trio, again, one of them, his name is Clueless Morgan. So not necessarily too bright and too smart, but they forgot to close the office doors. So Scooter notices, hey, what's going on over here? And then there's a big mess, right? They left a big mess. They were not clean thieves, as they might say. There's Kermit's desk lamp is broken. Miss Piggy's photo is knocked over. And then there's an empty display next to Kermit's banjo that housed the pebble. It's gone. The pebble's gone. What is Scooter going to do? He got his phone. He's like, hey, Kermit, you got to come back. Kermit comes back with Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, and Rizzo. And then Kermit sees what happens. He's hurt. He's very emotional. Everyone is just angry. Okay. And they know what they have to do. Well, says Kermit, it is time for us to once again become the Fantastic Four. What? Kermit is Mr. Fantastic. Miss Piggy is the Invisible Woman. Gonzo and Rizzo, the Human Torch. Together, they are the Human Torch, by the way.
Wait, what?
Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah. Picture this. Rizzo and Gonzo together are the Human Torch, right? Okay, them together, they're the Human Torch. And then Fozzie is the Thing. Well, this is amazing, okay, right? Because again, and now here we got the Fantastic Four song. We are the Fantastic Four. There's something that we cannot do. We will keep on fighting for what that is what we do. Whoa. Can you believe it? The Fantastic Four back together again.
I can't believe it.
Wow. Truly an amazing moment. You can just picture what an amazing moment is. The Fantastic Four once again returning to power to fight. So there's no time to lose, right? They got to get into it. So Kermit, he has a task for Scooter. Scooter, hey, Scooter, go ask Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem if we can borrow their bus so we can get going to try to track the guys down. But then, after Scooter leaves the office to race to go find out what will happen, something you cannot predict that will happen. The Dr. Doom trio is still there, and they close the door to Kermit's office, and they barricade them inside the office. So they're trapped. Kermit and the Fantastic Four, they're trapped inside his office. And the Dr. Doom trio escapes once again. Now, again, very clearly, so you understand, picture it. They can't understand. They cannot get out of the office. There's no way for them to get out of the office. They are truly, truly trapped. But Kermit did still have his cell phone. So what do you do? He's got to call Scooter. And Scooter, come back quick, Scooter, come back. So Scooter comes back, trying to figure out what they're going to do. And there's no easy way to get them out. There's no quick way. What are they going to do? So Kermit activates Protocol Assemble Different Emergency Fantastic Four team as quickly as possible to save the day, or just to shorten it. So if you just want to, make it easier to understand, it's a PADEF4 TAQAPTSTD. The ending is a little unfortunate, but that's just how it worked out. So, what are they going to do to help assemble this team? Well, you got to recruit. Scooter's got to recruit our old pal Walter, Gary, and Mary, Jason Segel, and Amy Adams from the 2011 film, and good old 80s robot. Now, you might be asking, what's going to happen? Oh, also, too, real quick, this is the song insert here, where they did a big song number, the Fantastic Four Assembly Team song. It goes a little something like this. This is the Fantastic Four Assembly Team. We will find new Fantastic Four, and the day will be saved. Again, yeah, I mean, that's just a little snippet. Again, buy the soundtrack at your local media play, if that still exists. So, who's going to be recruited? Well, Kermit. Again, he has records, and there's a huge database, and a big program Kermit put into place was a physical fitness training program, as well as an extensive reading list kind of thing. So Scooter used the modem in 80s Robot to find this list to assemble the best team as possible, and that team is, of course, Gobo Fraggle, the leader of the Fraggles as Mr. Fantastic, Kira the Gelfling as the Invisible Woman, Bert and Ernie of Sesame Street Gang as the Human Torch, and Thing, or wait. Was it the other way around? I mean, that crazy. He's always just messing with Bert and just trying to confuse everything. But anyway, they are the Fantastic Four, and again, this is the Fantastic Four. We are the new Fantastic Four. We are here to find the way to save the day. So again, another big song when they all come together. But meanwhile, Bobo the Bear is doing the best that he can to support his family. All right, so he's been working for a mysterious figure, because he's got to pay the bills. And, he had just finished up a quick phone call to Steve Martin confirming poker night on Thursday. Martin Short, Uncle Deadly, and Billy Crystal. Spice to the point, because now the trio has returned to the hideout with the Pebble. And they are very proud of themselves. And, Bobo, he's a very good, supportive employee. He's like, hey, guys, do you want anything to drink? They're like, yeah, sure, yeah. But then a mysterious figure enters. This mysterious figure is known as the world's most dangerous frog, Constantine. Now, you might remember Constantine from the 2014 film of Us Most Wanted. And here, once again, he has escaped prison, and he's out for revenge against Kermit the Frog.
No way.
Oh, yeah, he's pissed. He is mad. He's angry. But unfortunately, he really wanted to reunite with his partner in crime, Dominic Bad Guy. But unfortunately, there was a scheduling conflict with Ricky Gervais, so we couldn't get him. So he hired Bobo, and then was able to recruit Polly Lobster, Mad Monty, and Clues Morgan to pose as Doctor, because the real Doctor Doom, Swerve, is Constantine, the world's most dangerous frog.
Whoa.
And they have been dispatched to do his bidding. And now here we insert the I am Constantine, I am the evil frog. Kermit's friends will surely find their end. We shall rule the day today song.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a big number. The trio, they really wanted to receive praise from Constantine, but he reminds them that he's the one that pays their salaries, because they have work to do. Because soon Kermit is going to be finished once and for all. Because Constantine has big plans. He wants to make real money. He wants to make the movies. He wants to make the television specials. He wants to release the music. To take over the Muppet world, he has the Muppets ready to go to take the place of the Muppets. But in the corner, you'll see Bobo the Bear switching on a beacon in his pocket. And we switch over to 80s Robot, using his upgraded moment to track the movements of Polly Lobster, Clues Morgan, Mad Monty to help the Fantastic Four. And now Walter, Gary, and Mary, they left. They went back to the Muppets Theater to try to see how they could free Kermit and the gang to help Scooter. So Gobo, and again, during this time, Gobo and Kiro are trying to do their best to keep Bert and Ernie on track, on topic. Because I mean, again, Ernie, he's just messing with Bert so much, and Bert's just like, dude, come on, man, we gotta stay on topic. Ernie, come on, Ernie. And Bert's like, because I mean, again, they just have too much fun, and then it's like, Gobo's just like, dude, guys, come on, man, like, I need an aspirin, man. We gotta focus, and then Kira's just like, I wish I was back on Throb, but Katie's robot picked up the signal from Bobo. They had the location, and then they traveled very smartly by map. And then, ladies and gentlemen, no time can be wasted because the fight is on. The replacement Fantastic Four versus the Dr. Dooms. There's a huge display of powers. We're not sparing any expense on the budget. The special effects are fantastic. Bert and Ernie, the Human Torch, and the Thing, or the other way around, whatever it was. I mean, they knock out Clueless Morgan. Kira contains Mad Monty Gobo in his element with a fantastic display of his fighting skills and powers, defeated Polly Lobster. And now Constantine is trapped. Cursing them all, he turned to Bobo, ordering him to fight. But Bobo also is very skilled at hand-to-hand combat, and Constantine didn't know Bobo's true loyalty. So Bobo quickly knocked out Constantine with a single strike. Very Miss Piggy style as well. He also studied under Miss Piggy, and the battle's over. The team of last-minute replacement had won with their Muppet ally, Bobo the Bear, very much undercover. Now you might be asking, what happens next? Well, Bobo locates the pebble, and he's very much overcome with emotion. Because again, this originated in his home of Fraggle Rock. He thought of Moki, Wembley, Uber, Red, Uncle Traveling Matt, and then Kermit, Robin, Ralph the dog, Big Bird, Elmo, Oscar the Grouch, so many others that have shared in this tradition of passing the pebble along. It formed a bond of friendship and bonded them together as a family. And Gobo, he takes in everybody else. They all look at each other and they all smile. And then there's a portal formed. Benedict Wong steps through because he has to fulfill another contractually obligated appearance as Wong.
Naturally.
Yeah. He greets everybody. And he goes, takes care of the Dr. Dooms, all the cronies. He takes care of them. And then emerging from the portal are Walter, Gary, Mary, Scooter, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, Rizzo, and Kermit the Frog. Now everyone's congratulating everyone. Hey, great work, great job. Walter's very excited. Oh boy, the celebration jokes that Fozzie told. Miss Piggy just really wants to go out shopping with Kira. Gonzo a little bit sad that he didn't get launched from the cannon. It's understandable. And Rizzo's just hungry. And Scooter just had taken enough Pepto. I mean, he's just like very, very flustered this whole ordeal. And Gary and Mary, they just were very happy to be helpful. And then Gobo walks towards Kermit with the pebble, handing it to him. They share a hug. And then Gobo steps away so Kermit can acknowledge everybody, acknowledge the group, to thank everybody. And he's very emotional when he spoke. I'm so proud of all of you. What you all accomplished here today is truly fantastic. When you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't do. And I believe in all of you. I believe in us because, well, we're family. And we always will be. And then, just then, Wong reemerges from the portal. Having completed the task of removing Dr. Dooms, he brought some new guests with them, Rocket and Groot Toretto. Because remember, Groot is a Toretto.
Right.
It's canon.
From the listeners from the Justin Lin episode, you'll have to listen to that to see how these universes connect. It is now mandatory listening.
Yes, I am Groot. Groot wants to congratulate you all today. This is Rocket translating for Groot, by the way. I am Groot. He says, the whatever guy looks funny. I am Groot. I'm just kidding. He said, welcome to the family. I am Groot. No, Rizzo and I are not related. I am Groot. He's a rat. I'm a genetically enhanced raccoon. Completely different. I am Groot. No, I don't know if the bear has a Netflix special. And then Wong says, hey, guys, stay on topic. And okay. I am Groot. Groot is someone he wants you all to meet. I am Groot. Groot says he's family. And then a new individual emerges from the portal and giving Groot a hug. Nodding to Rocket and Wong, he smiled at the sight of his longtime friend Kermit. Kermit, been too long. Yes, it has. Good to see you. How is little Brian doing? How is everyone? Everyone is great. Everyone is grand. But for now, I got one question. Dominic Toretto looks right at Walter. He says, are you ready to race, kid? The end.
I would have been severely disappointed if there wasn't no Fast and Furious reference in your pitch. And
it's all connected. The universes now, again, are all connected even more.
Though I do think it needs to be the Fast, Furious, and Fantastic now.
Ah,
Triple F, triple F.
Mr. Feige, do you want to make hundreds of
Billions.
millions of dollars, or do you want to make billions and billions of
Billions.
dollars?
No, wonderful pitch, John. I know you had been working on that a long time, and it certainly showed. So thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. It was a little long, but I could not help myself. It could have been longer, but I was like, I need to kind of contain myself a little bit and try to.
Hey, that's
I
okay.
had fun. I had fun.
Good. And that's what counts. It was a long pitch, and I loved it. So I'm going to be respectful of our listeners' time and just dive right into mine, if that's okay. For my pitch, my film, it is sort of an origin film. No, that's a lie. It's not an origin film. And it is parallel connected to the MCU. My movie is called The Muppets Make the Fantastic Four. The movie opens in a boardroom, and all we see is Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's first appearance in a Marvel movie. And he's like, I don't think you're a fit. Sorry. And you see some stranger just leave the room. He's like, okay. He hits like the telecom button, like, okay, bring him in. And we see Kermit and Miss Piggy come into the boardroom, and he's like, oh, thank you so much. So happy you both could come here. We here at Marvel, side note, the Muppets now are owned by Disney. So corporate synergy works so much better now that we can do this. Kermit, Miss Piggy, thank you so much for joining us today. We brought you in. As you're aware, the Fantastic Four have not been cast yet. And, we here at Marvel really pride ourselves on thinking outside of the box and not making the same movie over and over again. And we thought, who would be perfect to be our Fantastic Four? The Muppets. Kermit's like, how exciting! How exciting! Yes, we would, flailing about. Oh, yes, we don't let you do it. And it makes and you just see Miss Piggy get that glint in her eye, like, oh, she's going to be a star. It's getting into the MCU is perfect. And he's like, okay, well, here's what we have in mind. This is Kevin Feige. He's like, Kermit, you are the Muppet. Everyone knows and loves you. So it would be wrong if you were not our lead, our Mr. Fantastic, because certainly you, sir, are fantastic. Like, oh yeah, well, yes, I accept. That would be great. And then he's like, for our Johnny Storm, we were thinking bringing someone into the limelight who has some experience working with fire before. And he's like, okay, bring him in. And you see Beaker come in. I'm doing a terrible Beaker here, but that's essential. That was more Roadrunner than Beaker.
Yeah.
But you get the gist.
I got it.
Beaker would be great. Thank you, John.
That was a little better.
It's like, but he looks very nervous about this. Like, Beaker always looks nervous. It's like Kermit's like, Beaker, you'd be great. We think you do. And then Miss Piggy's like, does that mean I'm the Invisible Woman? I'm Sue Storm. Miss Piggy, we were thinking about that, but we have a different role for you. We think, you are a symbol of a strong woman, tough, will not let anything stand in her way. And that's why we think you would make a great The Thing. What? She says. Yeah. And Kermit's like, oh, Piggy, just hear them out. See what they know what they're doing. They've done this for a long time, and the movies clearly show the quality of the movies. Surely show. So give it a chance. And she just has this death glare the whole time. Piggy's like, who's going to be the Invisible Woman? Well, and you see Kevin Feige get kind of nervous. Please send her in. And you see Emily Blunt come in, but not as Emily Blunt. If you recall, in 2011's The Muppets, Emily Blunt plays a character named Emily, who was Miss Piggy's secretary at Vogue Paris, imitating the character she played in A Devil Wears Prada. She's like, she came in for the audition and she just knocked it out of the park. Don't know. I mean, no one would think of this person, played by Emily Blunt, to play Sue Storm, playing off the joke that everyone wants her and John Krasinski to be Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm. So having some fun with the fan casting there. And Miss Piggy's like, she was my secretary. It's like, stars can be found in the strangest places. You're still going to have a prominent role, Piggy. Just hope you're not disappointed. She's like, Why would I be disappointed? Very sarcastically, and just leaves. And Kermit tells Kevin, hey, take that. She agreed. I'll talk to her. And Beaker and Emily Blunt are just like, well, good for us. So from this point, this movie is really just kind of a meta movie about the making of the Fantastic Four. We eventually learn that the Count, or Count Von Count from Sesame Street, has been cast as Dr. Doom. Again, this movie is really not them interacting. It's them just kind of doing kind of vignettes of them creating this movie, doing their own scenes in kind of Muppet sketch comedy style. With the Count, I envision him in his castle in Latveria, or if we want to call it Count Varia. In this case, we certainly could, where he might be singing a song called, instead of Moving Right Along, Doomin' Right Along. I do not have lyrics for this one. It's just him talking about maybe some counting with the Fantastic Four, like all of the numbers in his plots. Like there are four heroes. There's one plot going to destroy them. Stuff like that is kind of how I see his scene playing out. With Beaker, I see Dr. Bunsen Honeydew kind of being his stunt coordinator and trying to set up all this pyrotechnics. And in the background, you have, instead of do 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 mana, you have do 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 flame on. And it's just a bunch of scenes of Beaker being set on fire in hilarious ways and running around trying to be not on fire. And that is really the Beaker Human Torch scene of them trying to get these pyrotechnics down and him just being pretty much set ablaze. Again, with the parody of Menomina being played in the background to hilarious effect. I really do not envision Emily Blunt playing much more. The joke was her coming in and being cast as Sue Storm. But then I do envision some cut scenes of Kevin Feige still in the boardroom and other Muppets coming in trying to pitch them as characters in the MCU. For example, I have Ernie coming in with his rubber ducky as Namor, and before Kevin Feige could answer, Bert's like, Ernie, they already cast a Namor. Oh, really, Bert? Well, has he been on film yet? It's like, I don't know. And Kevin's like, yeah, yes, Ernie, what? We'll consider you. If something happens, we'll consider you. Okay, and leaves. Then come in Stadler and Waldorf, dressed as Professor X and Magneto. But what they do not realize is that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are also in there dressed as Professor X and Magneto, pitching how they could be reintroduced into the MCU. And Statler and Waldorf look at them and back and forth, and there's this fun kind of staring contest, and they look at Kevin Feige and say, they have to audition, right? And so kind of, having some fun with, the old guys. Then I do see, continuing with the X-Men theme, I see a bunch of them. I see Fozzie, Sam the Eagle, Animal, Rizzo, Gonzo, King Prawn, and Rolf coming in. Fozzie dressed as Beast, Sam the Eagle as Angel, Animal as Wolverine, Rizzo as Jean Grey, Gonzo as Cyclops, King Prawn as Rogue, and Rolf as Gambit. And Kevin's like, guys, I think we're just doing the Muppet thing for this one movie, The Fantastic Four. I think we're going to have to go in a different direction with the X-Men. I'm sorry. And they all leave kind of disappointed in their Muppet Marvel X-Men outfits. But Gonzo stays back and he's like, Kevin, I have an idea. And he rips off his Cyclops outfit to reveal the Great Gonzo outfit. What if we introduce the Great Gonzo into the MCU? And Kevin's just like, I'll think about it, Gonzo. I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. And he leaves. Finally, you have Cookie Monster come in with this big headdress as Galactus. And he's like, Cookie, like what planets? I consume cookie, Galactus consume planet. Therefore, me like Galactus. And Kevin just kind of, you see him thinking, he's like, I think we have our end credit scene there, Cookie Monster. And that is how Cookie Monster is cast as Galactus in this meta Fantastic Four Muppet film. Really, the rest of the movie then is Piggy has run away. She is distraught over not being cast as Sue Storm, and Kermit is looking for her. And really, it's this film similar to a theme of the Muppets from 2011 about really understanding yourself and your identity. And just because someone else or other people look at you one way, you may feel a different way. And that's okay to feel. That is a valid feeling. And then Kermit goes to assure, he's like, Piggy, I see you as my Sue Storm. Just because you're cast as this doesn't mean that's who you really are. It's a part in a movie, and I think you could do both and be just fine. And it's this really heartwarming, them kind of coming together to solidify their relationship. And I do have some songs in mind. I see this moment where Piggy is really down on herself and kind of lamenting about being cast as the thing. And in a parody of Kermit, It's Not Easy Being Green, I have something like, It's not that easy being the thing. Having to spend each day the color of tangerines, when I think it would be nicer playing Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, or in this case, Invisible Pig. It's not that easy being the thing. It seems you are constantly clobbering, and people tend to pass you over because you're not standing out like Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. So that is one song I thought. I also think there is some sort of, rather than the rainbow connection, there's the fantastic connection that kind of culminates at the end when they come together to make this movie. Piggy gets over the jealousy of Emily Blunt being cast, and she's like, I'm going to do the best job I can. I know who I am outside of this part, but I will be the best damn the thing there is. And she's just clobbering everything that's in her way, whether it's crew, actors, whatever. She just clobbers everything. And that is my movie until the end credit scene when you see Cookie Monster Galactus look at the world, but in his eyes, it's a big ass cookie. And you just hear nom, 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 nom over a black screen. And that is The Muppets Make the Fantastic Four.
Wow, I definitely a different way to go from my film, but I think it works. I love the the idea of just Kevin Feige just like, this is brilliant, this is brilliant, this is perfect.
No, so I mean, what I love about the Muppets and like the Muppet Show, the remake of the Muppet Show that was kind of this workplace comedy, like the meta aspect of it, and that's really where I wanted to go with it. That it's absurd in theory to cast the Muppets in the MCU, but in the Muppet world, it is completely plausible. It is completely plausible, and I wanted to explore that, like the making of the meta aspect that we get to see a lot in the Muppets and this universe. So I was pretty set on going that direction and was really happy with the outcome, all things considered.
Yeah, that definitely was fun. I mean, I did enjoy the parody songs. Those are very good. I enjoyed those. Poor Beaker.
But he's fine. No Muppet was injured in the making of the Muppets Make the Fantastic Four. Everything was up to code. Safe. Everyone was safety precautions.
I just want to make sure that our listeners know that no Muppet is harmed. Yeah, everything.
We here at the Fantastic Four do not advocate for violence against Muppets.
That is a fantastic stance to make.
Thank you. I was very proud of, mostly I was most proud of like the boardroom scenes where all the different people were coming in and pitching their like who they would be as Marvel characters, especially Statler and Waldorf and Cookie Monster. So no, I was really happy. But those are our pitches. We definitely went different directions, and
definitely.
That's what's so great about this is that we can take similar properties, similar pool of characters, and just go in completely different routes. And both of them make sense for the theme that we're going off of, the Jim Henson universe. Both are extremely valid.
Yeah, I mean, again, the most important thing is I think we both had fun.
Yes.
I don't know if the listeners will have fun.
I think they will.
So
I think they will.
If Pat is still listening, again, I'm sorry, but not really.
I am not sorry at all.
I'm not sorry.
For our first double-digit episode, number 10, I think this was a fantastic episode.
I agree. This was a very fantastic episode of the Fancasted 4 podcast.
Thanks, John. Well, there you have it. We've done our castings. We've made our pitches for a Jim Henson helmed Fantastic Four film. We hope you, the listeners, enjoyed our exploration into this what-if scenario. I want to make a special note that the Fancasted 4 podcast is hosted for free on Anchor, and we encourage you, if you have your own podcast idea, to check it out. It is a great resource for getting your idea off the ground. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you do happen to be listening on YouTube, we would greatly appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and commenting with who your Jim Henson fan cast would be, on what your thoughts of our lists and pitches were, and on which director you might want to see next. I want to thank Matt Hart and Maddie Gunner for the fantastic theme music they normally create for us. You may have noticed we did something a little different for the beginning of this one, but normally the theme music they created for us is really great. And I certainly want to thank you, John, for being our return guest today. I hope you still had fun.
I had a lot of fun with this one. Hope it came across of how much fun I had just thinking about doing this and actually doing this. It definitely was a fantastic, fun experience.
Now, where can our listeners find you on the internets?
If you would like to, you can follow me on Twitter at JON_LASTRINA. If you like Fast and Furious things, music things, video game stuff, wrestling stuff, hey, I'm your guy. I like to retweet that kind of stuff. And if you would like me to respond to your posts with various Fast and Furious quotes or wrestling related quotes, gifs, memes, whatever, I'm also your guy.
Hit him up, people. You won't be disappointed. Well, that is our show. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, I'm your host, Dan Bettenhausen, and on behalf of my guest, Jon Lastrina, I hope you all find your rainbow connection.